Hey everybody, Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share yet another update on my experience with the Moto X Developers Edition for Verizon Wireless. Now, of course, this is an unlocked phone, but only works with Verizon Wireless technically. You can use this with other carriers, but your mileage may vary, essentially. Not getting into that right now. But when it comes to the experience with Verizon, I can tell you that my signal strength has been fantastic. Overall, the radio performance better than my Galaxy Note 2. GPS also more accurate. Some of that has to do with software, but a lot of it also has to do with hardware. But that isn't what today's video is about. This phone will still run you $550 retail for a 32 gig device. Storage is not expandable. The battery cannot be replaced, but I can tell you that when Moto says this phone can do 24 hours of real-time usage, they are accurate. I mean, exactly how far you push it will, vary the runtime clearly, but this does outlast my Galaxy Note 2, so that certainly put any fear to rest regarding the loss of a replaceable battery. Now, when it comes to expandable storage, yes, I would have liked to have had a micro SD card slot here, but that's really not a big deal. 32 gigs, more than enough for my personal needs, and you do have on-the-go capabilities, although because KitKat doesn't allow you for true on-the-go, you will have to install something like I have there if you don't have root. Nexus Media Importer costs a few bucks, but worth it. No root necessary, and you're able to basically upload anything off a thumb drive or hard drive to your phone to watch, or of course stream wirelessly. So a lot to like about this phone. The KitKat that's running on here, 4.4 right now, runs beautifully. No real bugs to report. Camera quality, not great. I've already talked about this in other updates. The touchless controls, in other words, voice commands, amazing. Okay, Google now. And then, you can pretty much tell it to do whatever you want. And you could see it identified, recognized me. Just a great phone. The 720p AMOLED display, even though it's not the highest resolution, definitely one of the better displays I've seen. Really clean look. Not in love with the fact that we lose screen real estate on the on-screen buttons, but that's part of having really a Nexus X-esque, experience, because this is really stock. Not a lot comes pre-installed on here, not a lot of widgets either, because this is a Google phone. Even though Moto is making it, this is clearly, Google's, in my opinion, very own first Nexus device, even though it's not being marketed as such. It did receive KitKat prior to the Nexus 4, so that says something about how much they have riding on this device. As I mentioned, the camera performance is weak, to say the least. I would have liked to have seen more out of that 10 megapixel rear camera with LED flash. The LED is incredibly bright, but the camera is just, a disappointment. Nothing else to be said. The front facing, less of a disappointment because you have less expectations. But overall, all performance, battery life, the processor, that Snapdragon S4 that's really an S600 underclocked is a great performer. The 2 gigs of RAM, solid complement. The internal storage, I already said, more than enough at 32. The 16 gig variants are okay. I think there's a need for, or a user that has certain needs, so that's why they have those two options and different price points. But what really is unique, obviously, about this phone, you've also got dual band Wi-Fi, AC, so some incredible, current generation tech there that wasn't really around last year. But more importantly, beyond even the software updates, which are so fast, as I mentioned, is that this is a developer's edition phone, which means that you can unlock the bootloader. For those of you that aren't familiar with what that is, don't worry. Essentially, it's just something that carriers use to lock devices down so that you, the customer, can't go on and basically do whatever you want with the phone. That's the most simple and straightforward way of me describing that. Rooting a phone, something I've also discussed in the past, can be likened to administrative privileges on a computer, whether we're talking about Mac or PC. I'm sure all of you have interacted with one at one point or another, and when you try to install software, it often requires that you are or have administrative privileges. So in order to install certain software from a phone, you need to have root. Also, there are a lot of applications in the Play Store that require root, and that is one reason a lot of users out there want root. Now, you don't need a developer's edition to unlock a phone or to have root, but it certainly is not only a lot easier, but also does not void your warranty, something I had a little confusion with initially out of the box because of some of the literature included by Motorola. But basically, despite the fact that I don't love having the branding, because I'm not looking to brag that I have a developer's edition, even though Moto believed that, and I really wish the Verizon logo wasn't there. I mean, this is an unlocked device that has nothing to do with their network other than the fact that it works on it. So really no reason for Verizon, especially after my Note 2 with that horrid Verizon logo on the button. I could have lived without seeing that. A case does take care of that, but part of the beauty of this phone is not having to throw something on there. You know, going naked is a good route with a device this nice, especially if you've customized it. But sticking to the developer edition, basically, just to give you an example, for those of you wondering what, at least personally, my advantage is with this, if I didn't have the developer edition of this phone, something like the KitKat update, which broke Fox-Fi, hotspot connectivity, and pushes you directly to Verizon subscription updates, that's something that the developer edition gives you basically a means to bypass. Unlocking the bootloader is where it starts. You request the code from Motorola. Essentially, they give it to you. They give you pretty good directions. They're not perfect, but they're about as good as it's going to get. But it's odd when, XDA does a better job, and trust me, I'm being accurate when I say that. And then once you unlock it and have that code, then you pretty much are free to flash anything to this phone that you want. You basically just set up a recovery. If you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry. I'm just trying to give a very loose explanation of why the developer edition has an appeal. So for someone like me or any customer that wants to be able to move up to KitKat without losing, the hotspot capability, without losing other root privileges, that's where the developer edition is a nice option. Again, all of this can be done with a regular locked carrier edition phone, but the warranty is clearly waived. You can try to relock the phone and return it in the event of a warranty claim, but if the phone is totally bricked and beyond the ability to actually be brought back to locking the bootloader, then you have an issue where clearly your warranty is not going to be honored. So those are some of the reasons that a developer edition phone really has a place in the market. A lot of people say, oh, it's just for bragging rights, or it's silly and Motorola doesn't know what they're doing. But no, they do. A lot of people did want to see a device like this. And if you look at people that work specifically in the industry, and they don't have to be developers, but just people like myself, they are going to be drawn to devices like this because they want the ability to unlock the bootloader, to root, to do everything they want to do with this device to be simple. We don't want to have to jump through hoops. So you're not only paying a premium for the ease to do all of these things, but also the maintaining or retention of the warranty. So these are two critical things that make the developer edition unique and really a must-have for me. If I had the traditional Moto X, with Verizon's branding, it would have been less expensive, and I could have used Moto Maker, but I would have lost out on all of the flexibility that I've been talking about here. And that flexibility with software, believe it or not, is the difference between a phone like this lasting for a couple of years or maybe more. Granted, with me, it's unlikely it's going to make it a couple of years, but all of you watching my channel know why. It's because it's what I do. But for the average user out there who wants a great phone with a great screen, solid processing performance, and really puts you right in the current generation of handsets, and arguably is one of the best in the current generation of handsets, and that's despite screen size, processor, RAM, count. I mean, all of those things, just when it comes to a great phone, a great smartphone, the Moto X is that and more. And it does it at a price point that no other manufacturer is hitting right now. So that's where Google and that's another reason this feels like a Nexus device, folks, because Google, what they are famous for is that Nexus brand of devices offers you unparalleled performance and power at some of the lowest prices out there. So that's one of the reasons this isn't a Nexus device. It's more expensive, even though it doesn't have as powerful specifications. It does come from a company, Motorola, which Google obviously puts a premium on since they own them. Farming out that Nexus contract is a completely different dynamic than making, as I mentioned before, their own little baby here with the Moto X. So one of the most underrated phones. Now you know why I have a developer's edition. For those of you wondering why, it's because, quite frankly, my days of having to jump through hoops to do things that could have been easy from the start are over thanks to phones like this. Again, all this can be done with a locked phone, but if you don't need to, why would you? That's really the question. Unless, of course, the pricing is out of reach with most phones. That would be the case, even though they don't even offer unlocked versions like this that are dubbed developer edition. But in this case, we're fortunate enough to have that opportunity, and I would imagine this is a trend that's going to continue because it has been successful for Motorola and Google. So this is only the beginning, and that's part of why I'm so excited about the Moto X and what it represents for all of us, and also changing expectations from all manufacturers. So a lot to like here. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. And of course, as usual, please feel free to subscribe. Later.